And I started to think about what do I like to do. I think a lot of times we work our 9 to 5s, we work our jobs, and it's like, I like this thing because it pays me. So I actually had the time to think about what fuels me and what fuels my creativity. And that really transitioned me from doing things just because other people told me to do it and started to think independently and becoming a woman in that mindset.
And I have beautiful women with me on the stage, so I'm just so ecstatic. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So first, I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves, starting with Bailey.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very vocal, so like you talk to me, or when I talk to you, I'd like you to talk to me. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Okay, my name is Bailey. I am originally from Houston, Texas. I just made a year here in the DMV, so you know, kind of getting in that native status. I'm excited. I work in regulatory affairs first and foremost, and I also am a health and wellness coach and a personal trainer. I train at the Prince George's County Sports Learning Complex by the Commander Stadium, and so if you ever want to come and do some classes on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, we get busy, no experience needed, and we take a holistic approach. So I want you to like connect your mind, body, and spirit when you're working out, because it's so much more than your physical, right? So yeah, that's a little snapshot.
Love that. Hey everyone. Hi. So my name is Kadeja, not Khadijah, like living single, Kadeja. My mama got, real innovative. I am originally from Richmond, Virginia. So I've been in the DMV probably about 3 or 4 years now. So it's feeling like home, it's feeling like the vibes. I have been doing artistry and creativity since 2020. So I have my own art and stationery shop, and now have transitioned full-time into full-time creative work. So I'm a content creator, I'm also a social media manager, all the things. So I'm really excited to talk and share space with these ladies.
Hello everyone, my name is Sky Webster. I was born in Indiana, but I grew up in Northeast most of all of my life. I currently work as an environmental protection specialist for the DC Department of Energy and Environment, and I also am a co-founder of the nonprofit Concerned Citizens Demanding Change. Right now, I currently work in watershed protection, so I work to protect the Anacostia and the Potomac, doing stormwater runoff and green infrastructure projects, and I'm really excited to get into our conversation today and talk a little bit more about what we all do.
Awesome. I'm so excited for this group because we get to cover every diverse background, career background, from wellness to creativity to getting involved and making sure our community is protected and spoken for, So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The first question is for everyone on the couch. Can you share a defining moment in your transition from girlhood to womanhood that shaped who you are today?
Okay, so I would say for me, going from girlhood to womanhood was in 2021. I'm such a lover girl, and basically I got my heart broken, just being transparent, and I felt like I had so much love to give for this person. I was like, wait, what do I do with all this love now, right? So as I was like kind of growing in my 20s, that's something that I had to think about, is like, you're channeling everything outward, what are you giving to yourself? And so I think that's honestly how I got into my physical health and journaling. And so, sometimes you gotta get your heart broken or fall flat to figure out, wow, like I am my main priority. So I think that was my biggest thing, and I had just moved to New York at the time, so I didn't know anybody, and New York is not like Texas, it's not like the South, so that was another barrier that I had to go through, but it made me stronger because I had to not only, kind of get into the space of how a New York mindset was, but to also remember my roots in Texas and allowing myself to be soft, even though I was going through a hard time. So I think that was my transition, and I'm happy it happened, and thank you next to the next man, so.
I'll follow. I was in 2020, so during quarantine, during the pandemic, I was in the house a lot, and I think we all were home. And I started to think about what do I like to do? I think a lot of times we work our 9 to 5s, we work our jobs, and it's like, I like this thing because it pays me. So I actually had the time to think about what fuels me and what fuels my creativity, and that's when I started drawing and I started putting myself out there. And I think that really transitioned me from doing things just because other people told me to do it and started to think independently and becoming a woman in that mindset. So yeah.
I think that my transition into womanhood came pretty early. I feel like the city forces you to grow up pretty fast, like just growing up in DC. For me, I would say it came around like high school. I was like the first woman in my lineage to not have a kid at 16. So it was like a lot for me to like create my own career path, find the things that I'm passionate about, while also just like being patient with my family that was around me, because they had never been in this situation where they're sending a young lady to college and she may not be starting a family at the same time, or like have baby daddy drama or whatever that may have been. But like that was even like different for my family and different for me, and like just paving the way. Like I was one of the first women in my family to go into a STEM field, and so a lot of them just didn't understand like what sustainability even meant. So it was just about like trusting in myself. Like I graduated for the University of the District of Columbia, which is but I didn't start my educational path there. I originally started at Old Dominion, and I wasted a lot of money my first year, but it was a learning experience for me, and just coming back home and just still trusting the process. There were a lot of people who were like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to go into sustainability? What does that even mean?" And just trusting the process all the way through, and just letting people know, like, I know this is what I want to do. This is like, I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to follow my heart and keep going, even if it wasn't through ODU or in Virginia Beach. It still happened regardless. And, yeah.
Awesome. I love that. One thing I wanted to touch on, because I definitely relate to this, is when you have the ability to do so much, like you all, I've seen you all work. I've seen you do so many different things in so many different fields. So when you are able to do so many things, how do you find out what you're supposed to do? What does that look like?
Girl, I'm still trying to figure that out. When you're like, you can do so many things because you're so invigorated by various things, especially in the creative field. I try to remind myself that I have time. Like, I may want to do photography, I may want to do videography, I may want to do all these things, but I'm like, let me master one thing at a time, and then what will come next, each step, I have time. And I think I have to trust in that versus trying to fill up. So yeah, you can get a very, very distracted that way without just resting in the fact that time will come for me. That's what I'm doing. Anybody else got any advice?
I would just add one thing is like, don't be afraid to try new things, and you know, maybe you're not the best at everything, but you're working towards the goals little by little. I know for me, that's kind of something I've been thinking about. I was like, wow, should I just hone in on like only policy, or should I really focus only on, you know, health and wellness? But it's like, you don't have to choose, you know, like whenever there's a time, and you know, God is going to bless you with advancing in that. So keep at it in the little by little, because you might burn out in one thing, but because you're, you know, shooting shots into each bucket, you know, you're still putting those points on the board. So, you know, just definitely being consistent, but also giving yourself grace and knowing you don't have to be the best at everything, but you know, what you're called to do, you're going to excel regardless of how much effort that you put into it. So,
love that.
Let's snap for that.
Yeah. No, that was a great answer.
Yeah, no, I honestly think you hit the nail on the head. It's like consistency is everything, just continuously showing up. It doesn't have to be always a huge crowd of people or a small crowd of people or whatever. Just keep showing up, because someone's going to remember, someone's going to be there. Yeah, the right people are going to remember all the time. I think for me, I try to encourage myself to go down different avenues, but like try to like keep the same mission statement for my life. So like for me, it's like as long as I'm like helping people or improving like people's quality of life, like I'm going to constantly be going down that avenue, like whether it's like through the environment or through my nonprofit work or whatever that may be.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you all hit the nail on the head. When we talk about, you know, not just limiting ourselves and exploring, trying new things, but also when you try new things, you're like, oh, I'm good at this. You're like, okay, another thing. So what does balance look like? So my follow-up question is, how do you prioritize health and wellness in your daily life while doing so many different things? Who wants to take it first?
So, setting boundaries. I think the boundaries are so important. Boundaries with yourself, boundaries with your friends, your family, your loved ones, boundaries with everything, because it's just really important to like not overwork yourself, not overextend yourself. Show up for what you can show up for. I think for me, the way I try to like manage my mental health is just like checking in with myself. Like if I don't want to go, I'm not going. Like I'm not going to force myself to go. And I'm a strong believer of what's for me will never pass me. Even if I do need some sleep that day, what's for me will never pass me. It'll come back around.
Love that.
I will definitely repeat everything that she said because a no is a no. Like if I don't feel like doing something, I think another thing about womanhood is saying like my no is my no. I'm gonna stay home because something in my gut says I don't need to be there. So yeah, I'm gonna take this nap and watch some Grey's Anatomy for sure. Yeah.
I would say for me, just because a lot of my business is around health and wellness, is making sure that I am taking time to work out myself. So even if I spend an hour just walking in the morning, like physical health is so much more than just your body, which I said before, but you're releasing endorphins, it's a stress reliever. So I think prioritizing that is also prioritizing your ability to show up in spaces, with whatever jack of trades that you're a part of. So, definitely setting boundaries and also, making time for yourself to exert all the stress that comes, maybe not that you're overworked, but, just an everyday life of always doing something or, the monotony of your routine. So.
Absolutely. I think that we like to overwork ourselves, overextend ourselves, and lose the boundaries because we're just kind of feeling unsecure, or not as stable as we like. So we kind of overextend ourselves. So my question is, what does security mean to you as a woman in your profession and in your personal life? What does that look like? What does that feel like?
I would say for me, just being in policy is being able to, understand the legislation that comes out of not just from how it affects the health centers that I serve, but also as a woman of color. Because, we're very misrepresented and oftentimes not even on the ballot when it comes to certain issues. So I think that's a portion of it. And then also just understanding that over time, things will change, but as long as you're keeping that steady pace, you're going to be okay.
For me, I believe I just bet on myself. Like, I have to trust myself 1,000,000% that if I show up and if I commit to something, I'm going to execute. So that's where I find security is in betting on myself. Full stop.
Those are such great answers. I feel like I'm still searching for what security looks like for me. I feel like I'm constantly growing in my field, but also that little voice in my head is like, you gotta keep working harder. Like your spot is never secure, your spot is never safe. Even if you are the best on whatever team you work on or what you do independently. So I think security for me is also part of just checking in, let myself know that you are doing enough. You don't have to do too much. You're doing just fine. You're moving at a quick pace, or you're moving at your pace.
Right.
So
your pace.
Yeah,
I love that. Moving at your pace. I think that's so important. I think that's definitely something I learned in my last year of life. That God has his own separate journey for me. So I need to not look around and just focus on what's in front of me for me. So I definitely feel that. Okay, so this is the closing question. What advice, if you could give one piece of advice to a young lady entering your field, what would you tell them about maintaining their well-being? You want to go first?
I'm sorry, so my fitness page is called Be the Spark Fit, and the slogan is Be the Spark. So that means sparking whatever you want to do with yourself, whether it's starting a new clothing line or opening up a food pantry. You have to start. You're not going to be the best when you start. It's going to be messy, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's you're never going to get past that stage if you don't try. So I would say fail fast. I know Mark Zuckerberg always says that too. He says fail fast and break things, and I totally believe that because I feel like a lot of times we want every step to be so perfect, and it's like, don't focus on that. Focus on the journey. Like, if you make some mistakes, it's like, hey, now you know what not to do going forward, right? And even if you do, hit a bunch of points and you're like, okay, I got my stride, take that with confidence, but be the spark, baby. Like, do it now, don't waste any time, and always remember that what's for you will not miss you, so just try.
Love that.
That was so good. Good job, girl. I love Be the Spark. I'm gonna put that in my notes. I love that. For me, it would be document the journey. I think the beauty of what we are, I'm a content creator, girl. I love social media. So what I see now on YouTube and on TikTok and on Instagram is people showing their blueprint, showing their story, telling their truths. And I think that the next generation is watching us here. And I think a lot of people are holding back and want to show things when they're done or when they're perfect. But what you're really going to get, what I really get from other people's content and from other people's stories is when it's happening in real time. Like, I want to see the messy, I want to see you figuring things out.
The journey.
The journey. And I think a lot of people are guarded in that. But I think that's what I would tell someone that's trying to figure it out, is just put it out there. And you are inspiring people by being transparent in that.
Love that. Number one fan in the first scene. Get this guy a shirt.
Something that I would tell young ladies going into my field of work, especially in like the field of STEM, is do not question yourself. I've oftentimes, sometimes been the only girl in the room, sometimes been the only black person in the room, sometimes been the only black girl in the room, but like, don't question yourself, because there have been moments where I've let like people convince me or talk me out of ideas, or like convince me not to speak up about certain things, and I would say like, just stand on your tens, like stand on what you believe in, speak up, and trust yourself. Like what you said, bet on yourself all the time.
Period. Thank you ladies so much. Please tell these beautiful people where they can follow you on social media.
Yes, y'all can follow me on Instagram at Kalaipi, Kelaipi. Yeah.
Yay! Okay, so I have a few things. Everybody get out their phone. My Instagram is @_KLiggins, which is LIGGANS. So that's @_KLiggins. And then my content studio, where I house content editing and a lot of social media management services, is 1710 Studios, spelled out. Woo! That's my guy. That's one of my clients, y'all. Love that. Oh, and pay black women.
Yes, turn it up. She said, "Pay black women."
Period. All right, y'all. So my personal Instagram is That's So Bailey. Like, I did take it from Raven. We're cool. But it's that, and then SZO, and then Bailey, B as in boy, AILEY. And then my fitness page is Be the Spark, BETHE, Spark Fit. So Be the Spark Fit. And I'm a look, okay? And if I see you, I'm gonna see the page, I'm gonna come up to you and greet you and say hello. So thank you so much, Rachel. And also, can we say happy birthday to Rachel? Like, happy birthday, girl. We cannot go another second without acknowledging that. Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you guys so much. It means the world to me. I've met all these women in different spaces while I've been working on myself. I met Bailey when I was doing fitness content. I met Kadeja when I was out in the field at Broccoli City Fest, thinking in the back, getting interviews. I met Sky in the field, protesting for the people in like 2016. These are all amazing women, so please be sure to follow them, and thank you guys so much. We'll be back for our next conversation in about 10 minutes. Drop that music.